Hi everyone, Uncle Raymond here. Welcome to a new video. This is going to be my review of the Squirrey electric height adjustable desk in white. Thankfully, this desk came with a very clear installation manual in English. So, I'm just going to briefly show you my installation process before going into more details of the review. Let's begin. Initially, it seemed quite daunting before I attempted to assemble this desk, and I was actually half considering ordering it together with the installation service. Then again, Uncle Raymond likes fixing things. So I went ahead and saved $40 from the price, and actually some sellers now are even charging $50 for the installation service. Anyway, it is really quite simple, and I just have to make sure to read through the installation manual carefully before I started the assembly. Of course, from time to time, I had to refer back to it to make sure I was using the correct screws, cables, etc. Okay, so quick and easy here. The first step is to simply install the two lifting columns of the desk. But wait, I made a mistake, so you don't have to. Actually, I kind of impatiently overlooked this initial part of the installation, although it wasn't explicitly stated in the manual. So depending on how you wish to orientate the desk, especially where it's going to be against a wall, you definitely want to start the installation process somewhere nearer to the desk's final intended location. Like in Uncle Raymond's case, I wanted it at this particular corner of the room. Now, if you follow what I did in the video, you will ultimately need to turn the desk around, which isn't easy as it is very heavy. Okay, some care points here. First of all, just make sure when you are installing the columns that you need to rotate them correctly into the position of the pre-installed locking screws. You have to pay a bit more attention here because if you don't do it right, your tabletop may end up uneven or impede the lowering or raising movements. Once the columns are properly installed, you can go ahead and install the feet. Finally, you want the motor to be facing you and the control switchboard to be facing away from you, so that when you flip the desk upright, the control switchboard will not be damaged by angling on the floor and will be facing outwards in the right direction. The last step of the installation process is to attach all the wiring cables to their respective places. You will need to connect the cable plug to the power adapter and also another short DC cable from the adapter to the DC in port on the control switchboard. There is a motor cable that you will need to connect to the M1 port on the control switchboard. And that's it. The installation process was completed within 30 minutes. Now you can watch Uncle Raymond trying his best to flip and turn the heavy desk around. Okay, so here are the minimum and maximum heights of the desk. The lowest the desk can sit at is at 73 cm and the highest is at 123 cm. In terms of tabletop dimensions, it is 60 by 120 by 2 cm. I initially wanted the sitting height at 73.2 cm but later adjusted it to 75 cm where it was just more comfortable for me. You see, that's the good thing about height adjustable desk. You can adjust it whenever you want and set it at the right height for each user or usage. This is also a smart version of the desk where you can memorize up to 4 heights. Just press and hold on any of the 4 numbers on the switchboard to memorize your desired height. Although the movement of the beams can be a little noisy, I think it is still okay. I mean, you're not going to keep changing the height, right? Even if you do operate it continuously, you can only do so for about 2 minutes before the motor failsafe kicks in and stop further movement to prevent overheating. The important thing I feel is that the movement should be smooth, so that whatever you have on the tabletop doesn't roll off or fall over when you're adjusting the height. As you can see from my video, it is very smooth indeed. The desk is also very stable when it is at its tallest height. And although this desk is slightly cheaper than other brands out there, it still has the memory settings and also the emergency safety stop function as well. Knocking it as it is rising or lowering will rebound the tabletop slightly. What I really like about this desk is the build quality. If you look closely at the condition of the paint jobs on the lifting columns and the feet, they are really very well done. giving the entire setup an appropriately premium feel despite its very reasonable price. The tabletop itself is also very well laminated and very smooth. And so far, touch wood, I haven't scratched it, or maybe because it is white and the scratches don't show that prominently. Speaking about wood, I'm guessing the tabletop is made from some sort of wood. Another thing good about this is of course the price. You do save at least a couple of $100 compared to the more atas brand out there. Even when compared to other Chinese brands of this similar table, the Squirrey model is still slightly cheaper. So what are some of the things that I don't like? Actually, not much really. If I really have to nitpick, it would be the noise from the adjustments of the height. But as I said, Uncle Raymond is not going to play around with the lifting all the time, right? Size. This is quite a standard size tabletop, but if you use an ultra-wide monitor like me, you may not have much space left on the tabletop for anything else. Unless, like me again, you are also using a mini PC. Currently, I don't see the option of a larger size tabletop from this brand. Cable management, or lack thereof. Well, at this price point, I really shouldn't fault this desk for giving Uncle Raymond just 4 cable mounts. It lacks any of the fancy cable management capabilities of its more expensive counterparts. And also, the motor for the lifting mechanism is actually visible, although it isn't unsightly or big. Therefore, you can still get by with some cable or wire ties and strong double-sided tape. And this was how Uncle Raymond did it. A few words of advice here. Just make sure whatever cables you need to run from your devices have enough slack to move around when you are raising or lowering the table. I nearly pulled off one of my speakers while experimenting with my cable management. Also, make sure you don't run any cable inside the bracket that houses the rotating arm of the crossbeam underneath the table. There is another similar desk under the brand Logitech. It is basically the same thing except for some very minor design differences, but they do have a choice of different sizes, albeit at a slightly higher price. If you ask me, I feel that the Squirrey's version is slightly cleaner in design, and after reading through some of the reviews, they seem to point at better build quality and also an easier installation process. So how often should you stand up at your desk or workstation? While there is no correct quota for standing versus sitting time, I feel that finding the right balance between the two takes a little trial and error. Uncle Raymond is still trying to find his sweet spot, but is hovering around 30 minutes of standing and moving around a little for every hour of sitting. In conclusion, Uncle Raymond can definitely recommend this electric height adjustable desk from Squirrey, particularly if you enjoy fixing it up yourself and if you can appreciate the cheap and really quite good nature of this desk. The links to this Squirrey desk are in the video description below, and I've also included one of the newer versions of the desk from this brand as well. As always, thank you everyone for watching the video. Please remember to subscribe to my channel if you haven't already done so, and Uncle Raymond will see you in the next video.